Okay, these are our notes and examples for section 5.2, but we're actually going to turn the page in this packet and go to the back here, which is really kind of page 2 or the back of the first page where it says review of video 3. So pause the video if you need to, so that everybody's ready to start here. Okay, so we're going to do a quick review, a quick summary of what you watched in video 3. So the first thing is, what is a proportion? So video 3 was all about how to tell if things are proportional or how to tell if they form a proportion. So you need to know that a proportion is a ratio equal to a ratio. When two ratios are equal, they form a proportion, okay? But a lot of times we write our ratios like fractions. So it'll look like a fraction equal to a fraction, okay? Or I'll show you an example here, like 1/2 as a ratio or a fraction is equal to 2/4, okay? So this whole thing makes a proportion. So does it matter where the numbers go? Could I just take a 1 and a 2 and another 2 and a 4 and put them any way I want to make a proportion? No. I can't just do it any which way. So yes, the order matters. Things have to be lined up. They have to be lined up and in the proper order so that it actually works, so that it's actually true. Okay? So if you have labels, if you're doing a problem with labels or units on things, then you have to make sure your labels are lined up correctly. Okay? So they can either go horizontally or vertically. Okay? So the labels do have to be lined up correctly. Okay, I want you to pause here and make sure you're caught up, and then I want you to find in your video notes the 5 ways to check and see if something is proportional. So this should be in video 3 that you already watched. Okay, so pause now, everybody find it, and I want you to recopy those 5 different ways right here. Okay, so if you've got them copied down from your notes, I want to just run through them quick. Right, you could simplify both of those fractions or simplify both those ratios and check to see if they're equal. That's a good strategy because we know how to simplify fractions if they're basic numbers. We can divide them both in our calculator. So if you have a calculator handy, just type that in as a division problem and divide them both to see if you get the same decimal on each side. Then they would be equivalent. You can find easy arrows, okay? So let me go back to my example here. If you notice that this is times 2 and this is times 2, as long as those arrows match, then you know that's going to be proportional. Okay, that makes a proportion. That works if your arrows match. So if you can kind of notice some multiplication facts going on and the arrows check out, that's a good strategy. You can find the cross products. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my example. Let's do it here. I'm going to do 1/2 and 3/6. Then I don't have any repeats. And I'm going to check cross products. So that means multiply these numbers together. 2 times 3 would give me 6. And multiply these numbers together. 1 times 6 would give me 6. And if these two cross products are the same, then you know that it's a proportion. You know those are equal fractions, equal ratios that form a proportion. Okay? So that's cross products. And then mentally decide if it's really easy numbers. So for example, if I have something like 3/4, right? That's almost 1 whole. And I want to know if that forms a proportion with 1/7. Well, I know almost 1 whole, and this is barely anything. Those are not even near equal. So if it's quite obvious, you can just say, no, these are not equal, not equivalent, then they don't form a proportion. Okay, so you went over all 5 of those methods in your video notes as well. I want you to pause here if you're caught up with us, and I want you to look at these numbers, and I want you to see if you can use them each once to create 3 different proportions. So, you're going to pick numbers and then put them into fractions where this fraction is equal to this fraction, and see if you can do that 3 times using all the numbers right here once. Okay? So pause, take a few minutes to do that, and then hit play again when everybody's ready. Okay, there are lots of different correct answers. I want to show you mine, and maybe you can check with each other too. So I have 1/2 is equal to 5/10, right? This would simplify to 1/2, so that would work. 4/16 and 3/12, those would both simplify to, 1/4, so those are equivalent. And then 6/8 and 15/20 would both simplify down to 3/4, so I know those are equal to each other. And I've used all the numbers up here once, okay? So there are lots of different correct ways you could do it, but you just want to be able to take 4 numbers and put them correctly into a proportion that's true, okay? All right, let's go back to here. So I mentioned how labels are very important. Let's go to this one. It says find at least 3 different ways to write this proportion. Okay? 2 movie tickets for $8, 1 movie ticket for $4. That's correct, right? Everything lines up. I could use arrows. I could check it. That makes a proportion. But I just want to show you that there are other correct ways to do the same proportion. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So you could also say 2 tickets to 1 ticket is equal to $8 to $4, right? You can rearrange the numbers and still get a correct proportion. Notice now how my units are lined up this way. Tickets, tickets, dollars, dollars. Here it was tickets, tickets, dollars, dollars. They're lined up horizontally. So there's different ways you could do it. You could flip them around, right? I could say, and put the 8 on top, $8, 2 tickets, and $4 and 1 ticket, right? There's more than one correct way to write each proportion. Okay? All right. Over here, it says, are these proportional? Try some of those methods, right? The list over here of 5 different ways that we could test to see if things are proportional. Try some of these different methods here to determine if these are proportional, yes or no. Okay, so take a moment to pause, and then you might use different strategies on different ones, but you should get a yes or no answer here for these, are they proportional? So pause and then play when everybody's ready. Okay, if everybody's ready, let's check what I got here. So I tried to use a few different strategies. Looking at these, here I don't have easy numbers, so the arrows would probably be hard. Simplifying would probably be hard with these decimals, but I could do cross products in my calculator, and I got the cross products are equal, so yes. Or you could divide these, right? Divide these in your calculator and check the decimals to see if they're the same, okay? Here I do have easier numbers, so maybe arrows would work, right? I can tell that this is times 4 and this is times 4. If the arrows match, your answer is yes, right? Or you could write them as fractions and simplify, or divide, right? You can use any of the strategies, but sometimes one strategy might be easier. Here again, I could check my arrows, right? 3 times 5 would give me 15, and 3.5 times 5, no, does not give me 20. So here I checked the arrows, and if the arrows don't match, your answer is no, okay? So just some practice. Just remember that you have lots of different strategies to use in different kinds of problems if you need to, okay? All right, let's move on to here. Now I'm asking you, are the tables proportional? So is this relationship between x and y proportional in each of these, okay? So here you're going to check all the numbers. You have to check the whole table to see. And there's a couple ways you could do it. Again, you could use arrows. So for example, here, this arrow is times 5, times 5, times 5, no, not times 5. So as soon as you find a row that doesn't work, your answer is no, not proportional. Something about that doesn't work, okay? You could simplify them all, right? So 3/4 is already simplified. Let's do this first one. 6 divided by 8 simplifies to 3/4. 30 over 40 simplifies to 3/4. 12 over 16, if I divide by 4, 3/4. So if you simplify them all and you get the same thing, then yes, it is proportional, okay? So again, pick one of those strategies, one of the methods that we have right here for checking to see if things are proportional, and try these bottom 2 tables. So pause here and let everybody try those. Okay, so I tried a couple different strategies down here. Here I was looking at arrows, right? If I have, my first one is kind of simplified numbers, so I could check this is times 2 times 2, yeah? Times 3 times 3, yeah? Times 4, 5 times 4, nope, that one's off a little bit. So as soon as you get something that doesn't work, your answer is no, the whole thing's not proportional. Okay? And then this one, I noticed I had some decimals, so it's not easy numbers to do in my head, so I would just divide them all, right? Maybe just put them into your calculator. 1 divided by 4, 2.6 divided by 10.4, right? Divide, and I got 0.25 for each one. If those decimals all match, your answer is yes. Okay, so now we're looking at just these couple story problems at the end. So number 21 says, you can do 90 sit-ups in 2 minutes, and your friend can do 135 sit-ups in 3 minutes. Do these rates form a proportion? Okay, this builds on what we did in 5.1. You could just find both of these as ratios, or what you're really doing is finding the unit rates and seeing if those unit rates are equal, right? So as long as I line up my labels, let's do 90 sit-ups in 2 minutes. And then I just want to make sure the other one is lined up the same way, 135 sit-ups in 3 minutes. And then go back to your strategies, right? You could do cross products and check that. You could do arrows. I don't really see easy arrows here, at least not mental math arrows. You could divide this and get a decimal and divide this and get a decimal, or the unit rate for both of them. So let's type that in and decide if you get yes or no, and then also try number 22 and see if you get yes or no. Are these proportional according to this table? So pause and let everyone finish those. If you've got them done, maybe check with your neighbor quick, and then we'll put the answers up. Okay, so let me zoom out a teeny bit. I got for number 21, I divided and got the unit rate for both of these, and I got 45 sit-ups per minute, 45 sit-ups per minute. So I got the same unit rate, so my answer would be yes, they're proportional there in number 21. 22, okay, here you could divide heartbeats per second, or heartbeats divided by seconds, and get 1.1. I should have this labeled, but I ran out of room. 1.1 heartbeats per second. Or divide this one, 1.2 heartbeats per second. And you can see those are different, not the same rate or not the same when I divide them here, so they're not proportional. Okay, so that kind of finishes this notes page. Now you have the rest of the packet that you can work on in class. All right, so go back to the front right here where we kind of skipped over and keep working from here.